Hey, I'm back. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make a little pallet wall decor thing. This is something that if people wanted, I would put together little kits and leave them outside with little accessories that you could possibly use, and you could just pick it up at my house and do it yourself. So if you don't want to cut apart the pallet and cut all the pieces yourself, if you do want to cut all the pieces yourself, I'll just briefly go over. I already did it, but I'll show you or just tell you what I did for this specific one. I'm gonna do two in this video, and I'm gonna start with the smaller one. So I used a thinner or less wide piece that I had, and it's about 3 inches wide, and I cut 4 of them at 9 inches, and I'm gonna assemble them so that they are horizontal like this. So you would cut your 4 pieces, or if you already have your pieces, you don't have to worry about that. And I'm just gonna take a little sandpaper and hit the ends. Sometimes you could see on this one, the saw kind of frayed the ends. So I'm just gonna sand them. And also I talked about in the how to disassemble a pallet video that I like the nail heads to stay in the pieces, but after further working on it, I found it was actually pretty easy to just bang them through and pull them out, and it still has like the cool rusty nail head spot. So if you decide to just pull the pallet apart with the pallet buster and take the nails out, it still looks pretty cool. So I got all my little pieces sanded the way I wanted, just kind of freshen up the edges. Then I cut 2 crappy pieces, trying to not swear as much because my niece was watching before. She's only 2, so I found some pieces that I didn't think were pretty on the face, and I cut them for my backers. So I just cut them. I put all my pieces, I'll show you here. I put my pieces together like this, how they're approximately going to be, and then I just measured how long they are, 12.5, and I just made mine 10 inches, so you know that it doesn't hang past on the top or the bottom. So there's that. So then you're going to put your pieces in the orientation that you want. I just staggered my nail holes or whatever, don't think about it too much. And then I'm just going to flip them over so that the face of the wood is now down on the table. And I'm going to flush up the ends, or you could stick one past the other and alternate them like that. That looks kind of cool. And then you're just going to take your piece of wood, and I like to use Tight Bond wood glue. Don't use like a whole bunch because then it'll just splooge out everywhere. But just a couple lines, a couple dots, like that is fine. And then you'll just put it, I'd say about 1 inch in from the end. And then just center it from the top to bottom. So I'll show you. Just like that, we have about 1 inch here, and then about the same space, like 1.5 inches and 1.5 inches there. And then you can screw it together if you want. You just have to make sure, I would pre-drill them with like a small drill bit, and then make sure you don't push too hard and bust through the face of it. And make sure your screw's not too long. I'm just gonna nail it together because I think nailing is easier and I have the means to do that. But you want to, let's see if I can These are the nails I'm going to use. I'm using a finish nailer, and it's 18 gauge nails. They're just tinier. So I'm just going to put it on my wood so that I know that they're not too long. And these actually are a little too long. So, and I don't have shorter ones. So the fix to that is to use some metal snips and cut them. I have a little permanent marker here, and I'm just gonna draw a line about 1/4 inch from the bottom, just so I know that I'm cutting them all the same length. And or however, if you have 2-inch nails and you need 1.25 nails, cut off 3/4 inches, and then I'm just gonna cut along that line. And sometimes it comes apart like that. That's okay. You can still put it in the nail gun in little pieces. And then I'm just gonna do one more. I found if you put your finger on the bottom of something and go like this, you'll have like a nice straight line and not have to measure and get like technical about it. I'll just cut these. Okay, so now we have shorter nails. And we'll just double check that they're short enough they won't go through the face of our pretty project. And then we'll put these in here. It might be a little tricky because, there we go. I use this nail gun. It's a Senko battery nail gun. If you're a DIYer, it's probably not like the best thing to have. I think they're like $400 or something. I use it pretty regularly, so for me it was a good investment. But a lot of times at Home Depot they sell this quarter cable compressor, and I've seen deals for like $100 or something like that, and it comes with a nail gun, and then you just need a hose. So a little something like that would be a good investment for yourself. Or like I said before, you can just pre-drill it and screw it together. So we're just gonna nail this. We're gonna put one nail up in the top of our first board. Oh, we gotta turn it on. One nail up in the top. And then I'm just gonna double check. Yep, we didn't go through the face, so that's good. And then on that same board, I'll just show you. So I'm gonna put one nail here, and then I'm also gonna put a nail here. So it's gonna go in the same board, but it's gonna be staggered. And then the next board, when we nail that, you're gonna make sure this is nice and flush, or staggered if you want it staggered, whatever. And then I'm gonna put one nail on the top there, and one nail in the bottom there, still on the same board, but staggered. And then the same thing here, 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 and here. Then we'll make sure all our ends are nice and flush, just like that. Pretty, pretty, pretty. And they're all like tight together the way we want them. And yeah, so I'm just gonna nail it off. And just double check every time. Before I nail something, every time, check it again. Because once you nail something, then you have to take it apart, and that kind of sucks. So, you know, measure twice, cut once, they say, and it's true. You don't want to get rushed and rammy, as we call it sometimes. And then we're gonna do the same thing with our other backer board on the other side. Just an inch in from the end, we'll put a little bit of glue. Just a couple stripes, couple dots, nothing too crazy. We're not, you know, building a house here. And just to make it look pretty, we're just gonna take this square. This is called a square, even though it's triangle, I know. And just make sure that the tops are lined up like that. And then you can make a pencil mark so that if your boards move around, you still see that mark and you know that it's going to be in the right spot. So I have my inch of space here, and then I'm going to nail it staggered, just like I did that one. So make sure my boards are all tight. Stagger my nails. Or stagger your screws if you're screwing it. Okay. Then now I have my little platform. I kind of staggered my nail holes on either side. Whatever, it doesn't really matter. I find sometimes that if you just don't think so hard about something, it will be easy. Like if you overthink things, I don't know. Whatever. Okay, so then I have a couple accessories that I painted up this morning as I was brewing up some ideas onto what to mount onto this little thing. So I found this little hook here. It was actually the piece that connected our old sectional couch. And it's just been laying around our house doing nothing. So yeah, I drilled a hole in the top of it here, and then I spray painted it black. I used this Rust-Oleum satin, and whenever you spray paint metal, I would sand it first so that the spray paint actually adheres to the surface and it doesn't just scratch off. So I spray painted it, and then I went out this morning and I picked up this other metallic spray paint that I thought was really cool, and I got a couple of these hooks because I have some bottles that I thought would be cool to like attach them to it. So this morning it looked like this one, and then I spray painted it and now it looks like this, and I just thought that was really cool. So while I was spray painting this one was right next to it and got some overspray on it by accident because I was kind of rushing. But I don't know if you could see it, but there's just kind of like this like coppery sheen to it now. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, and it works out for what I want to hang on it. So, in terms of placing this on your piece, I mean, it doesn't really matter. It kind of gets determined by what you're using. So you could place it all the way at the top, or in the middle. So I have this Tito's copper mug that my husband stole from a restaurant. It's horrible, but whatever, here we are. I was going to install this hook onto my board and then hang it, and it's gonna be like for the bar area or something like that. So I'm just gonna put mine here. I think I'm gonna attach it on the top of the second board, so like somewhere like here. So this is important. You want to make sure that your hook, or if you're doing something like this and attaching like a bottle, like using this thing to attach the bottle to it, like this. You have to make sure your little hook is big enough. But like that, like that's really cute, I think. So maybe we'll do that on the next one. So you want to make sure that this piece of hardware is in the center of your board. So to find the center, you're just gonna have a tape measure, and my board is 9 inches, so half of 9 is 4.5. I'm just gonna make a little mark at 4.5, and I just like to make a little cross like that. That's where my screw is gonna go. Oh, gross, excuse me. So I also this morning painted these screws here. These are the little screws. I don't even know if you can see it. Here you go. That I'm gonna want to use, but they weren't the color that I wanted. They were this silver color. So I just screwed them into my piece of wood and spray painted them, and now they're all dry. And I think with, where did my black hook go? I think with my black hook that's like kind of coppery, I think this copper screw will look cool. So I'm just gonna grab that screw. And now we're gonna attach our hook. So I have my screw gun here, and this screw is pretty small, so I wouldn't worry about like pre-drilling it or anything. But a lot of times these pallets can be like old and janky, and they'll split really easily. So a lot of times you do want to pre-drill things, and you just want to make sure that your drill bit is a little bit smaller than your screw, because if it's bigger than your screw will just go in the hole and not actually do anything. So for this sake, I'm just gonna screw it in right on my center line. Okay, so we have that. Okay, sure it's nice and square. And then we have now our cool little hook on our board. And then we're gonna hang our mug, and voila. And you can hang it up in your bar, or I had another thing. Oh, hold on. My mom sent me this cute little thing for Halloween, and I thought that would be cute. It has a light in it, I think. Alright, you can't really see it, but it's lit up. But that would be cute during Halloween, or you could just hang whatever you want on it, so that's kind of cute. And then to hang it on the wall, I got some picture wire. Oh, this way, sorry. So I'm just gonna cut the length that I think would be appropriate. And a lot of times the picture wire, yes, Misty, great idea. A little hanging succulent would be really cute. I'm trying to think if I have one, but I don't. That would be really cute, a little hanging plant, or a little candle. Sometimes they sell candles in the little mason jars that have little hooks on them. So yeah, this picture wire comes with these little eyelets sometimes. So I'm just gonna pick a spot closer to the top of the board. I'm actually gonna pre-drill this, so let me just grab my drill. Okay, so make sure you're doing it on the top, and I'm just gonna go in the back, maybe towards like the outside of the right side or the left side, doesn't matter where you start. And just start a little hole there, and put this in. Oh, my drill bit was a little too big, so it, so that's not gonna work. So I have another idea, because I don't want to get a smaller drill bit. So I have these other little screws, and I'm just gonna screw one in. Not all the way in. You can leave it just like that, like a 1/4 inch sticking out. And then you're just gonna wanna take your tape measure, and you can measure down from the top of this board here. You're gonna measure from here to your screw. And we used our square to make sure these were the same, you know, flush with each other. so that we can measure off the other one and put our screw in the same spot so that when we hang it up, it will be level. So my screw is at 1.25 inches. So I'm just gonna measure down from the top of the board 1.25 inches. And I'm gonna come in about 1 inch. So I have my little mark here that's approximately in the same space in and down that screw is. So once again, we'll just screw it in. And leave about 1/4 inch sticking out. Then we're gonna take our picture wire. And you're gonna cut it probably like, I don't know, 3 inches or 6 inches longer than the distance between your two screws. So we have our two screws here, and then you're just gonna leave like 6 inches sticking past and cut it here where your thumb is. And I'm gonna use my metal snips to snip it. And then you're just gonna take your picture wire and bend a hook on the bottom like that. Hook it around your screw, and then tightly wind up the end around the middle of the wire. So just like that. And then you'll take the other one and just leave a little bit of slack in the middle. And do the same thing, wind it around the screw and then wind the wire around itself. And careful, the end of the wire is really sharp, so it could easily cut you. So now you have your wire on the back, and you just install, you can just use one of these things, little picture things. You take it, put it on the wall, and just push the nail in so that it can't come out. And then hook your thing like that and hang it on the wall. Pop your mug on, or your succulent plant, or whatever. So I think that's really cute and rustic, and that was pretty easy. So I'm just gonna put that one to the side and do another one real quick. And maybe you would want to put this picture wire on before you put the hook on the front, because I kind of fucked it up and like got the paint off because I was like rubbing it on the table. So yeah, put the picture wire on first, then install your hook. We'll do that on the next one. And I'll touch up that paint, it's no worries. So the next one I have here is a little bit bigger, and we're gonna put a little shelf on the front. So I have cut 3 pieces that are a little bit wider. They're like 5 3/8 wide. I have 3 of them, all with the nails on the top and bottom, which I think is a really cool look. And I cut them all at 20 3/4. So I'm just gonna put them all face down, just like we did before. And this one, I'm gonna put the boards vertical. So I have my little backing pieces that I cut, and I cut these at 14 because that was, excuse me, a little bit less than the width of my 3 boards. So I'm just going to put a little glue on it. Little glue. And these ones I'm gonna put like, let's say 2 inches down from the top. So I'm just gonna flush up my boards on the top, and stagger my nails just like we did on the last one. Make sure they're nice and tight everywhere. Flush on the top. Okay. Then we have our bottom piece. And we're just going to glue it up. And the glue just helps it stay over time, so it's good. About 2 inches from the bottom. And I've got like 1.25 inches on either side. Stagger my nails. Okay. Now we have this one. So, and if you're a perfectionist or you like things to be square and perfect, pallet building is not for you. Pallet wood is funky and old and normally pretty crappy. I actually think this one's like oak or something, which is really nice. A really nice hard wood with some pretty colors in it. But a lot of times it's crappy wood and maybe your edges aren't going to be flush because when you put it against the saw and cut it, the edges weren't square or whatever. So just don't get cray about it. So this one I'm going to put a little shelf on it. Let's see, how do we want to do that? I'm going to cut one more piece just like this, so just give me a second. Okay, so now I have these 2 pieces and I'm gonna make a little shelf with them. Just like this. And then we're gonna attach this to our board that we just put together. So to make the shelf, you're gonna determine which one you want for the bottom. So I'm gonna make that one the bottom and this one the top. And I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the top edge of my bottom board. And sometimes I just like to rub it in so that it's all over the full board. So you've got your glue. And then you're going to take this piece and put it on top like that. And then make sure your edges are flush here and here and on the back. And then you're just going to take your nail gun, or if you're screwing it, you would pre-drill it and make sure that when you do that, the drill is like square with the piece, because if it's cocked like this, your drill bit will go through the face and then it'll look like shit. So and the same with the nail gun. We're just gonna take our nail gun, take it about 1.5 inches from the end. Make sure that your nail gun is square with the piece so you're not shooting too far forward or too far back. And if anything, you wanna just tilt it a little far back, because if it does go through the back, it's okay. So we got that, and my nail didn't go through the front, so that's a plus. And then we'll flush up the other side, do the same thing, and then we'll do like 2 more actually. Okay, so now we have our little shelf. And now we're going to attach the little shelf to our board. So I'm thinking if there's a little glue that splooged through, you can take a wet rag or just your finger and wipe it on your pants like I do. And I think that I'm gonna nail it from the back, or maybe we'll screw it. We're gonna nail it. We're gonna nail it from the back, which means I need longer nails because we have this board on the back. So now you have to go through this board. Oh, my trailer door just closed. It scared the shit out of me. Now we have to go through this board, and this board. So we're gonna get some longer nails. These 2-inch ones, I don't know if those are too long. Yeah, those are a little too long, so I'm just gonna cut them real quick. Take our marker, I'm just gonna cut like a 1/4 inch off. Okay. Now I have shorter nails. Then I'm just gonna swap out the nails in my nail gun. Easier said than done, I guess. There we go. And I'm gonna grab some clamps here and determine where I want my shelf. First, I'm gonna throw a little glue on the back. It doesn't really... Now, you see, I'll show you this right here. So, oh shit, my knee. So, because my boards are a little funky, like especially this one, how it dives down right here, I think that I'm just gonna try to get the most nails into these two boards and just kind of let this one hang on its own. I'm not gonna put any glue in there because you can literally see right through and your glue would just droop down and make a mess. So I'm just gonna put a little glue on this part and clamp it down where I want it. So we'll just do a little bit of glue here. And then definitely want this shelf centered. So I have an inch and a 1/16 and an 1 1/8. So I'm just gonna scooch it a little bit that way. So I'm about an 1 1/8 heavy. And on the tape measure, this might sound stupid, but some people don't know this. So in the 1 inch, it has 16 lines. Each line represents 1/16. Then there's another set of lines that are a little bit shorter, and those are the 1/8 marks, or they're a little bit longer than the 16th marks. Then there's the 1/4 inch marks, 1/4, 3/4, and then the longest mark in the middle is a 1/2. I know sometimes the 16th doesn't seem like it makes a difference, but it does. So just make sure they're super exact. I get a little bit fussy sometimes about the measurements, but that's why I get paid the big bucks. So I'm gonna go 1 1/8 on either side, and then from the bottom I'm gonna go, I think 1 3/4 will look good. So we have 1 3/4 on each side. I'm just gonna hang this whole thing past my table a little bit and get my clamp underneath. let's see. I have these other clamps that are a little deeper. Clamp it and check it. Got 1 3/4 on both sides. Check it, and check it again. And I'm gonna just go grab a bigger clamp. Okay, got my other clamp, and I'm just gonna clamp the other side. Okay, now we're gonna flip it around and just be gentle because it's still not nailed. And so now my left side is the side I'm not going to put too many nails in because of that gap. So just look underneath and make sure you're nailing into your board on the front. And just nail it or screw it a couple times. And I'm just gonna throw a couple in the end that had that void. Okay, now I can release my clamps. And voila. And then I would do the same thing on the back with the picture wire. Excuse me. I'll just do it real quick so it'll be done. I'm just gonna use the little screws. I don't really like these things that they sell with them anyways. The screws are just easier to navigate and use. So I'm just gonna do my first one about 1.5 inches in from my little backer board on the right side. Okay, so just like that, I left it at about 1/4 inch sticking out. And then I'm just going to check that. We have 1 9/16. And I'm gonna mark the other side of my board. 1 9/16. And we have 1.5 inches over. So I made my little mark here, and that's exactly where I'm gonna put my screws so that it's the same spot as the other side. Okay, and then we're gonna take our picture wire and string it between the two screws. I don't know if you can see this. And then make it about 6 inches longer than the distance between the two screws. Use my metal snips to snip it. And then I'm just gonna take the first end, loop it around the screw pretty tight, and just spin the picture wire around itself. Again, watch those ends, they're a little sharp. And then you want just a little bit of slack in your wire. Loop it around the other screw and spin it around itself. Ooh. And voila. This one I would definitely use like a bigger hook like this one, or even, I don't know if I have any bigger ones. Oh, I do. Well, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just like a big one like this, because this thing's pretty heavy and you don't want it falling off of the wall or anything like that. So I had some ideas for this shelf, so I'm just gonna spin the camera around and show you my plan here. So that's it. And then I was thinking I was gonna put like a bottle in the middle, And then I have these dried flowers. These were from my husband's aunt, died a couple months ago now, I guess, and these were from her casket. So I have been wanting to do something with them. I'm obsessed with dried flowers. I just think they're the cutest. And yeah, so you can even do like one bottle there and I don't know, another bottle here with some other flowers, or just keep it simple and do one in the middle like that. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If people want to make these at home, if you're local, I'll make up a couple kits. I have a bunch of pallet wood sitting in my driveway right now. So I have the option to make little kits if you want them. If I don't hear from people, I don't think that I would really waste time. I don't know. I'm kind of bored these days, so maybe I will. But obviously, ask me any questions you have. If I didn't explain things enough, let me know. Sometimes I think things are self-explanatory because I do it so often. But it's not always that easy. So, I think that's all I have to say. If you're tackling this at home by yourself, refer back to the first video on how to disassemble a pallet. And I think that's it for now. So thanks for watching. Invite your friends, lady friends, to the group. I'm going to be uploading all of these videos that I make today onto YouTube so everybody can watch them, so boys don't get upset about feeling out of the loop or whatever. I think the next one I'm gonna make a little shelf unit. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks. Bye.